We acknowledge the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Métis peoples whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. Moving on then to additions to the agenda. There's addition 8.3 under new business, off-reserve housing. And Councillor Hanlon will speak to it. And as part of the package that's appeared on your table package, we have a document that addresses our concerns about agricultural land in town. And we will probably deal further with that under 2.1.3 since we have a delegation on that topic. Given the additions to the agenda, being 8.3, entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Hanlon. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to the scheduled delegations. The town of Falher, the village of Girouville, and the town of McLennan. Please come to the front.
Did mention that. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the invitation or for allowing us to present with
Just a second, please. By the way, Council, we're on page 5. If we're going to be talking about the contract between our parties, then I'd like to go into closed session. Is that okay?
Sure. I think right now all we were going to discuss was the service and the regional, I guess, collaboration. But if you would like to go into
no, that's fine. If it doesn't deal particularly with the contract, then we'll just stay in open session. Okay, go ahead. Just introduce yourselves.
All right. So I'm Donna Bashinsky. I'm the mayor for the town of Falher.
I'm Alain Dion, deputy mayor of Village Girouville.
And I'm Jason Dorse, the mayor of the town of McLennan.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you again for having us. So we're here to discuss the future of the Bylaw Enforcement Services Agreement. More specifically, the request to consideration for a multi-year extension of the agreement and the partnership. As you know, the consistent and effective bylaw enforcement plays a critical role in maintaining safe, orderly, and respective communities. It supports not only the public safety, but also community standards, economic stability, and overall quality of life. One of the key strengths of the model has been the presence of enforcement personnel who are external from our communities. There is a recognized value in having an officer in uniform arriving in a marked vehicle who does not live in the community. So this separation creates a level of objectivity and authority that often results in higher levels of compliance. Simply put, there's a different public response when enforcement is perceived as impartial and professional rather than personal, our CAO going out, for instance. So additionally, the access to the community peace officers, as opposed to standard bylaw enforcement, provides that elevated level of service that we appreciate. For smaller municipalities like ours, this level of service would be difficult to replicate independently. So the partnership with High Prairie has allowed our communities to benefit from that enhanced capacity in a cost-effective and efficient way. From a regional perspective, this agreement is a strong example of municipalities working together towards that shared goal. When our communities are aligned in enforcement standards and service delivery, it strengthens the entire region. It promotes consistency, fairness, and a shared understanding of expectations for residents and businesses alike. This agreement is an example of a true collaboration between municipalities. We want to respectfully acknowledge that the town of High Prairie has full autonomy in the direction of its community peace officers and setting its own operational priorities. At the same time, we would like to note that over approximately the last 10 to 12 months. There have been some noted reductions in that service, but they could be just operational pressures and completing priorities elsewhere. However, our perspective, this change has been noticeable. And so it has affected a little bit the ability to rely on that consistent enforcement support sometimes. As you are aware, we are currently operating under the one-year extension that your council has granted us, which thank you very much. We had previous extensions of this agreement since it was originally signed in 2013. So it is an older agreement, and we have appreciated this service for that length of time. So we appreciate your council's willingness to extend the agreement on an interim basis. However, we are asking for a longer term. With the short term, it creates challenges for the planning, budgeting, and service continuity within our communities. With that in mind, we're here today to respectfully ask council to consider entering into a multi-year extension of the bylaw enforcement services agreement. As mentioned, a longer term commitment would provide all councils, yours and ours, the ability to better plan budgeting and the service delivery across the region. If council decides not to reconsider the contract, we just ask that a clear decision is made with sufficient notice for us so that we can explore other alternatives. In closing, we want to reiterate that we respect whatever decision the town of High Prairie does make. We value the relationship between our communities and appreciate the service that you have given us so far. Our goal is to simply ensure that there's clarity, stability, and the continued collaboration between our municipalities. So thank you, and I'm not sure if my fellow mayors have anything extra to say.
Not from either.
So just appreciate the service you guys have given us over the last, 13, 14 years. And would like to see it continued in some shape or form so that as long as it's beneficial for everybody.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. And it's unfortunate that our peace enforcement officers aren't here to hear the compliments. We generally just do a roundtable where all the councillors have a chance to make any comments or questions. So I'll start with Councillor Martinson. Anything? Councillor Temple?
Right at the moment, you can understand from our perspective that our taxpayers are asking for more services in our town to cover more hours. It would be curious to sit down with you to see if there would be any interest in collaborating to hire a fourth police officer, which would give us more leeway in our town, plus open up another one for you guys to have.
So I'll just respond, I guess. Since the inception of the agreement in 2013, the cost has changed a little wee bit just in the agreement. It's cost of living or Alberta cost of living. But the hours that were designated has never changed. So that's your consideration, that you would look at those hours. Because right now it is a 2 8-hour shift, one during the day and one at night per month. It's kind of.
Hi, I'd just like to say thank you for coming and expressing your concerns. I know when we did the one-year agreement, it was not too long after the election, so we were all new. And so I think this year, when we review it, it would be nice if we had the three of you or the CAOs or Reeves, whatever it is, give some input. And then we can probably go forward from there. But I do remember when we were first new, and it was one of the first things we had to look at. And it was like, well, let's just go 1 year and see, because there was so much we had to learn as well.
Thank you. Yes, and I do remember that because elections were in October and the agreement ended in December. So definitely understand the pressure that you were under for sure. And that actually makes sense. It probably would be a good idea. I think we're all would consider that discussion further to have. You bet.
Okay, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, High Prairie taxpayers, I don't know if you've seen the crime stats for High Prairie, but we're struggling. You guys are in far better shape than we are. So for you guys to pull resources out of High Prairie, it's tough for us and it's, we certainly hear about it. That being said, I'm always supportive of, economies of scale and, it's far easier for us to, and cheaper for everybody if we hire a fourth peace officer and we share the peace officer program than for us to employ 2 or 3 peace officers and you guys to employ 1 or 2. There's those fixed costs that if we can operate under one program rather than splitting it off and operating under 2, it'd be cheaper for everybody. So, but in order to, maybe hire a fourth peace officer and share in spreading out those fixed costs a little bit of a peace officer program, we do need a multi-year commitment, right? We can't bring a peace officer on for a year and then lay them off a year later, right? We need a commitment from you guys. But like I say, economies of scale, I'm very supportive of it. So.
Well, thank you very much. We're obviously going to be looking at this, and you can tell by the council that your presentation has been received favorably. The CEO, please, any comments?
Yes, and I agree with Councillor Temple and Councillor Shunter. Perhaps this is a time to consider a fourth peace officer. And yes, to do that. And if you want more coverage, more patrolling, then I think that's the only way. The county asked us to do their bylaw enforcement until January 1st. And, we provide hours to them for that. And here you are, certainly you want to keep your community safe. So, yeah, we can cooperate and collaborate. We can talk about this, how willing you are to share the costs of a fourth peace officer. You'll see in the agenda here, a report on peace officer coverage. And council has directed admin to have the peace officers patrol up until 1 a.m. and then to start at 7 a.m. They're under certain restrictions because of the criminal code. They can't enforce that, but things that happen in between 1 and 7. But certainly we'd be willing to discuss. We're willing to really explore this option. Because our people even want more coverage. We're going to patrol. We are patrolling the downtown core because of the amount of criminal activity and nuisances that are occurring and mischief. So we're patrolling, additional hours there. That takes away from the administration part of the job and other patrolling. So here we are in July, so this could be part of our budget discussions. And we want it to be a win-win. We don't want to overcharge or undercharge. We want to be fair to all parties.
If I may, I do have a question. So the discussions, were you looking at, or was your council looking at having a discussion with our councils or, the mayors here? Or do you want CAOs right now?
No, I
have
think
that
right now
discussion?
we'll just have the CEOs get together and get all the wording agreeable.
Sure, that works. I think,
That worked for us too. Yeah.
Is that it? Thank you very much for coming. Have a safe trip back. And I think your presentation here will result and bear fruit. Our next scheduled delegation is disabled building access. CEO, who registered for that? Yeah. Okay, we will skip by her. If she does show up, we'll give her time later on in the schedule. Moving on then to the gentleman at the very back. Farming land within town limits. Don't make him lonely, Jimmy. Come up to. He gets lonely otherwise. We don't want that. Mr. Pratt, go ahead.
All right, thanks for letting me speak and giving me time. So, yeah, I guess just looking for some answers. If you guys had you guys may have come to a conclusion and then, or is it still in the making?
We haven't come to a definite conclusion, although
Okay.
we are prepared to, I believe, to come tonight. We do have some similar policy from other municipalities where the farmland property tax is waived. And so that's what we're looking at now. I should tell the council that Mr. Perry did give me a tour of the situation that he finds his piece of land in and explained to me how it's basically inaccessible from the town and therefore does not receive any services, nor is it able to receive any services from town. And I'm going to skip the roundtable and go immediately to the deputy mayor, since he had expressed some views on this before the meeting. You had an
Did I?
idea of a motion?
Do you want me to make a motion?
Yeah, go ahead. Or, well, introduce it first and then make it.
So I just feel like Mr. Perry and Stephen, they they've visited for 2 or 3 meetings now and they've spent a lot of time and I think we owe them an answer. So to kick off discussion, I'll make the motion that council waive the $700 minimum tax rate on the, how many properties is it, David? How many properties are zoned agricultural in High Prairie? 6 or 7? 6. That council waive the $700 minimum tax rate on the 6 properties zoned as agricultural within the High Prairie town limits. And I'm not entirely sure if I support that motion or not, but we'll kick off discussion with that and we can go from there. I share Mr. Perry's view that his piece of property is not serviceable from the town. It would cost millions of dollars to build an approach over that railroad track. The goal of that $700 minimum tax rate was to encourage development in the town of High Prairie. And I don't see it as being feasible to develop Mr. Perry's property. And for that reason, I feels like we're burning him a little bit for the wrong reasons. But so the package that got passed out from the Village of Alex, they waive their property tax on some farm properties, but not all, I believe. And that's something I'd be open to discussing and I'd be much more in favor of, because to the point of encouraging development of farmland, the properties that are north of the RCMP station, those are prime residential development properties. They're serviced to the lot line. They're primed and ready to go. It's a very different situation from Mr. Perry's property. So I don't know where it's fair to draw the line. The MGA says that it's up to council to determine what's fair and equitable. I don't know what's fair and equitable, but there's a line to be drawn here somewhere, and I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts.
Okay, we would usually have the deputy mayor's motion come as a notice of motion. I've accelerated the process this time because our next meeting is a month from now. And we've already been gnawing at this bone for a couple of months. So I thought we may as well deal with it now. So let's do the roundtable and get some views on where councillors stand. If you have any questions of Mr. Perry or Mr. Pratt.
There might be a piece of relevant information too for you guys to to have, and just know that the two parcels that I own, one of them is, zoned for residential development, which, like I said, the last meeting, I'm not a developer, I'm a farmer, so I won't be using it for residential development. The second piece, which is a 23-acre block, is zoned, and these are documents that I got from your website, is zoned urban reserve land. And so there, in that case, I believe that I wouldn't be able to develop it at all unless I had it rezoned from the town. So there again, the incentive, the tax that was, due to incentivize development is punitive on a land that is not actually zoned for development and is also not accessible unless you had access through my property, the residential. I can pass a map around quick if you guys want it.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
Feel free.
And I can also pass around there's a nice list of basically goals, objectives, and policies on the urban reserve land. And it says here on policy number 7, the town should use tools such as land purchase, land swaps, or tax incentive, essentially to keep it in an undeveloped state. So I can pass that around as well.
Sure.
First spots of land here, it's just more accessible and there's no services to your quarry here.
Exactly. Yeah. I can pass around the third piece here.
Yeah, two parcels you have. Yeah. This is belonging,
They're both urban reserves.
well, they're both.
That one says residential on this map particularly, but it also says, I don't know if it can be two zones or, but here's the two parcels, Yeah, so then that's kind of how it looked, yeah.
They have to hold the urban reserve.
Yes, this one, the acre block here is, the it has to do with proximity to the river, I guess, it's the.
This is a, this is a great extra. Pretty good.
On this map,
And then
this map is, there it is showing zone district.
municipal.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
This is the land use bylaw.
Yeah.
A real.
Stephen. Arlen Courtney's house is on your quarter and he's got no town water, nothing either.
I'm kind of handcuffed in that regard, right?
Expected.
Let's do the roundtable anyway, okay? We've been introduced to the topic. We have two different maps, but the one that we need to have circulated, Counselor Martinson has the land use bylaw, and both the pieces of property that Mr. Pratt are referring to are urban reserve. Okay? Roundtable, Counselor Hanlon, let's start with you.
Well, I think my view is each property owner is going to have different circumstances. And I think based on what I've learned about both of your properties, if there's no access and it's going to cost millions of dollars to provide access, then I don't think we should be charging a different tax for that. I think we should be able to make exceptions for certain situations such as yours.
Thank you. Counselor Temple,
Nothing for me.
Counselor Martinson.
The land that Stephen referred to as his 23-acre property, and because the creek had run through the other quarter, it was ideally designed that with the area structure plan, that as the roads in the Shabunya property, or which now is the Blotniks, was to be developed, it would carry the roads through to that parcels further to the north. So it can be developed. It's going to be in the future, but the first part will have to be developed first, and that's to carry on the services and that further north. So I did go for a ride with Mr. Perry the other morning, and I told him that before he ended up with the property that he has in question, Dennis Perry had owned that property, and he purchased it from Bill McHugh, who owned the other quarter of land, and that's part of the quarter that the Peavine settlements own. And I know when transportation took out that approach, what they deemed was that you had to provide access, and that was going to be a green area for part of the quarter land, because you had to deem so much land as green area. Or paid for, yeah, and cash in lieu, yeah. So what the agreement was Mr. McHugh was supposed to provide access from the quarter, or the remaining quarter land farther to the east. I know, but he owned that one. But let me finish here. What the agreement was that he's supposed to register an easement along the train tracks running east back to the west to access that property.
So has that easement ever been registered to your knowledge?
I don't know.
Well, anything come to mind? Deputy Mayor?
No, I said my piece.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll listen to you again, and we'll probably do another roundtable, because we're gonna nail this thing down tonight. Go ahead, Mr. Perry.
So instead of giving us easement, we had to agree to tie to a quarter to the south of it. That's why it's on the piece of land is tied to the next quarter. It's got one title. So that's what happened when Bill decided not to give us the easement. We had to tie to the other quarter to the south. So the piece that's in the county is included on this piece in the same title.
Okay. It seems to me that basically we're talking about farmland in town, and some of it's actual cropland. In fact, probably most of it is. I'm assuming it's all cropland. But if I look at it, there are parcels in it that can't realistically be sold to someone else. the piece of land that Mr. Perry has is already tied to another title. And that second portion that Mr. Pratt has, I don't see anybody ever buying that unless they buy a whole bunch of other land around it to take advantage of it. So what I'm trying to distinguish now is that there's farmland in town that is isolated by title or by practical sale potential. I don't know the other four pieces, if that's true of them as well. So I'm already starting to see that if we're going to have a tax that had a general purpose, then we should be taxing land of general character. And it doesn't appear that we are. The CEO, any views?
No, I have no opinion on this. It's whatever council wants.
Councilor Martinson.
For Mr. Perry, how do you pay your taxes if that piece of property is consolidated with the quarter to the south? Like you get a tax bill from the town and the county? Oh. Okay.
I've got a question about the comment that Brian made, when he said it could be developed. Would that be my responsibility, or it would be the responsibility of the town to bring the roads and services up that way?
It would be a developer. If anybody bought that remaining property off of now Zablotniks, and they had a proposal through there, then it's up to them to put
Oh, okay.
but
So essentially right now, as it stands,
But-
it'd be my responsibility to bring roads and services.
it wouldn't be your responsibility. No, not yours.
Okay,
It'd be a developer.
right,
Which would have to go through some buttons.
okay,
Basically, what we're saying is that that large portion of land that you have has the potential to be developed as part of the, say, a residential subdivision.
right,
And obviously that's sometime in the future and millions of dollars in the future.
right.
That's in contrast to that little riverside piece that you have, which I don't think nobody would want to develop on a residential basis anyway, especially there.
And then the fact that it is zoned urban reserve land, does that not indicate that it would be a barrier to development because of the goals and objectives of the?
No
of the zoning?
zoning is a barrier to development because the zoning can be changed by
Okay.
council.
Okay,
And so if a developer came to us and asked us, say with that big piece, let's say, 10 years hence, to change the zoning, in all probability, the council of the day would do so.
okay, perfect.
Okay, now we're going to keep digging at this and finally tying a knot around it. Deputy Mayor, Councilor Hanlon?
I have a question. So before we implemented the minimum tax on vacant property, what were you being taxed on as farmland?
Correct. And like my tax statement still does say farmland for both parcels. And so for example, I got a copy of my 2024 taxes for the 23 acre, which is a little piece on the corner adjacent to the river there. And it was $51.59. And 2026, it's $810.40.
Yeah, so to be clear, let's say we were to take the minimum tax off of farmland, you would still be paying the basic tax that you're being levied now.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so I'd be paying roughly 2024, I paid 384 plus 51, so around
I'm just trying to
$400.
make sure we don't lose any money.
Oh, yeah. God forbid.
Deputy Mayor, do you want to start phrasing a motion now?
I'll I'll stick with the original motion that council waive the $700 minimum tax rate on the 6 properties within High Prairie Town limits that are zoned as agricultural farmland.
They're not zoned as that. That's the problem
Oh.
with that wording.
Or urban reserve, zoned as urban reserve.
But there's other pieces that are urban reserved.
See, on my tax statement, it says, description of asset. It says farmland.
David, how do you define the 6 properties that we're calling farmland for a motion?
They'd be designated as farmland on the tax class.
Okay.
So
So, motion that,
Under urban reserve, under permitted uses, it says agriculture. So it's covered
Mhm.
under zoning as urban reserve. It's,
all right, read it slowly.
that council waive the $700 minimum tax rate on the 6 properties zoned as farmland, that are being used as farmland.
That's what it appears to be. Is it described as farmland in yours too, Mr. Perry? Yeah,
Um,
that appears to be the tax wording.
My goal with this, David, I don't know if you recall, but you circulated, I think at the last meeting, what the tax implication would be. It was something like $3,000. It's minimal in terms of the full budget. And if we go back to the MGA, we can waive the tax rate for select properties, but we have to go back and do that every year. So if we want to waive it just for Jim's property and just for Stephen's 23 acres, we got to have this conversation every single year and we got to waive this every single year. Whereas if we waive it for all farmland, we can just amend the tax bylaw, right?
All 6 crops.
And we amend the tax bylaw and then we don't have to have this conversation again. That's my thoughts on it.
Okay. The farmland within,
So that the farmland does not, what's the word I'm looking
there's
for?
no minimum tax placed on the farm.
The $700 minimum tax does not apply to farmland. Yes.
Now, just to be more, this is now a little bit longer process. You're basically going to get an answer because we now have to go through the changes to a bylaw. And that has public notice and a whole bunch of other things in it, okay? So the formal answer, the official answer is going to come to you for about 3 months. But you're starting to see the political answer in front of you, okay?
And it's
Deputy Mayor?
a one-time thing. If we just grant you the waive, if we just waive your taxes today, we got to go through this again next year and the year after and the year after. If we change the bylaw, we're done with this, right?
Okay, so table one more time.
I have no more questions.
No, I think I'm good. Thanks.
No comment.
Okay, now, Ms. Suckolich hasn't shown. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And the peace officers. Somebody there going to make the report? I'm sorry, I didn't see anything. Oh, we don't usually have the
Pretty
press
hard not to
changing
see me,
uniform
Mr. Mayor.
popping up. I didn't know about you.
I
Go
wanted
ahead.
to address this, page 2 of the minutes that you're going to approve here shortly. I was at the last meeting, as you remember. The last paragraph, I don't believe is incorrect, but it does demand a clarification from me. The association did not make the request on behalf of the Elks Royal Purple. That was a personal request from me. Beautification would never get involved in something like that as a political organization. And I don't think I made that clear when I was here, that I was wearing the one hat and then I jumped to the other hat as a private citizen. And I do want that on the record because that's not fair for beautification to be accused.
And that's
No one's accusing them, but not to be hinted that they were involved in a decision they had nothing to do with.
And that's in the last paragraph of
Yes.
that item.
The association also asked, no, that was me as a private citizen. Like I said, I don't think it's wrong because I didn't go look at the video, but I don't think I made that clear. So I want to make that clear tonight. Might not be
Okay.
a big thing, but it's not fair to beautification. No one should go around as a chair and say things that may be interpreted that beautification made
Well,
the
you got
decision.
your correction in time because you haven't dealt with the minutes yet.
Yeah,
So we'll deal with
but I
that.
don't think the minutes are actually wrong. That was an error on my part.
Not in intent, not
Yeah.
in general, but in the particular.
So
Okay.
I just wanted to clear that up. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
On that tonight, because we're not gonna have another meeting before the rodeo.
On what? On-
The key to the town for the Elks to present to them at the rodeo. Are we gonna do that?
I'm assuming that, yeah.
We need to make a motion tonight.
Deputy Mayor has pointed out something related to that item of the minutes. Please go ahead and explain it.
We're not meeting again till next month. The Elks Pro Rodeo is, I believe, 28th, 29th?
Yes.
29th, 30th, 28th, 29th. We need a motion tonight to address this. If we're going to present the Royal Purple with Key to the Town, we need council's approval tonight.
Is that the intent to give the keys to the town? Is that the recognition that you were looking at, Mr. Clegg? Switch uniforms again?
Okay. At the last meeting, I noticed that the town of Peace River gave a key to Peace River Rotaract for their service. And my idea was that I would have very much liked to see the town do that for the Elks and Royal Purple for their efforts for many, many, many decades. And I didn't mention it at the meeting, but I did talk to, I know Councillor Hamlin about it. In my role, it'd be very appropriate to present it as the mayor makes a speech at the opening of the rodeo. Would be the perfect place. We could arrange as a paper to do that at a different time. We wouldn't be up in the booth, but that'd be a perfect place and in my opinion, for the town to use that opportunity to do that.
And in fact, I was going to specifically thank the Elks in my welcoming at the rodeo. But this item on the agenda seems to say that we should consider an official presentation of the keys to the town at that time.
Yeah, however you wish to handle it, yeah. It doesn't have to be that. That was just the idea that I thought would be there because the crowd would be there and it, everyone would see it and be aware of it.
Now we're caught in a bit of a procedural thing because we've already got the agenda in place. And normally you don't amend an agenda partway through a meeting. But in this case, our next meeting isn't until a month from now after the rodeo. So I think with the timing of this says that we should have a motion now.
I believe you can amend your agenda with unanimous consent.
Yeah,
Is that
I
true,
know.
Mr. Joy?
No, I know that.
Okay,
That we don't normally do that.
correct.
Okay. It's still your intent to make that kind of a motion then?
Yeah, I'll make
Okay.
that motion.
Okay, let's have a motion then to amend the agenda. All those in favor? Carried. Go ahead, make the motion.
Um,
Sir, do we have keys?
That's what I was gonna ask.
I'll give David a hand procuring.
Yeah, we'll get something from Home Hardware.
We'll get
No,
a,
no. We have keys.
Say,
Yeah, we have keys.
we'll paint it gold.
okay,
Great big gold key. We'll figure something out.
okay.
Or, yeah. So I'll make a motion that, at the Elks Pro Rodeo on, July 29th, 2026, the mayor presents, the keys to the town to recognize the Royal Purple for countless years of dedication to the community
Okay, that's the Elks and Royal Purple on the 28th.
on the 28th.
Further discussion, Councillor Hanlon?
Can we amend your motion to include the Elks as well?
Yes, yes, yeah.
That's
yeah.
what he just said.
I'm going
Read
off the
this.
top of my head. We can amend it to whatever you guys like.
So that council direct the mayor to provide a key to the town, to the High Prairie Elks and the Royal Purple at the High Prairie Elks Rodeo.
In recognition of countless years of service to the community.
Countless.
Okay,
years.
roundtable on this motion. Councillor Martinson, Councillor Temple, Councillor Hanlon, nothing else. All those in favor of presenting the keys of the town? Carried. Back to the agenda. Now we're on to the peace officers. Your esteemed leader,
I don't remember submitting a report for this month. I thought that was for next month. I'm just here as a resident tonight. I did provide David with some input on a report that he
we have a
has,
monthly
but
report for June and it's now July, so that's the subsequent report.
I believe that was included in the last agenda
the last
package.
one.
Yeah, that's not for the,
So, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, they don't need to present here. The peace officers that are in the agenda,
Oh, okay.
that's all.
So you're off the hook.
We're off the-
But you came a little late and didn't hear all the nice things that the Little Smoky people said about you.
oh, yes. Yeah, no, I'm just here as
So
a
go
resident
to-
tonight,
Go to
so
YouTube in a couple days and pat yourself in the back.
will do. I
Okay.
was working before I came and then now I'm here as a resident.
Okay. Okay, now let's finally get on to the minutes. We're now on page 11. These are the minutes of the regular meeting of council on June 23rd. Are there any errors or omissions? Page 1. Page 2.
The Chris's.
Do we want to change that association to read Chris Clegg also asked that? I think that's at least is clear wording of the intent.
Yep.
Okay. Page 3. Page 4. Councillor Hanlon?
I have a question about 6.6. Maybe Councillor Shunter can refresh my memory. There, it says the council instructs administration to follow up with public works priorities with further information. I believe that the request was to get a cost estimate for painting road lines, was it not?
Painting road lines, more staff to run more graders, more staff to paint more road lines, but a plan of some sort for increasing our service levels, yes. Which I feel like more information covers that. I was okay with that, but
Okay. Any further errors or omissions? Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. And page 7. Councillor Martinson.
I'm sure you made the motion to come out of in camera or closed session.
We never went into closed session. Oh, yeah.
yes, we did.
Oh, sorry, you
In
referred.
that
Yeah.
time that I looked on my previous minutes was at like 918. And that motion was made by the mayor.
Okay, on page 17, item number 17. There should be a motion that council come out of closed session. Came out of closed session at 9:18, moved by the mayor. Any further questions or any further errors or omissions? Now entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as corrected. Councilor Martinson. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to business item number 6, we're now moving on to, let's see, what have I got here? Page 18. Proactive engineering inspections. CAO?
Yes, I put this back in front of council because we had additional information that we can't do the mainline camera searches. We don't have the equipment for it. As in the blue section there, we purchased this camera in 2001 and it has not been functional since 2015. Yeah, the important part of this is we want to be sure that we don't replace underground infrastructure that is still in relatively good condition. Yes, it's expensive to do this proactive CCTV inspections, which could cost between $100,000 and $115,000, but we may end up saving if we can pinpoint exactly the sections of pipe that do need to be replaced before the highway is repaved. And so that's why I put this back in front of council.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was in disagreement with the action itself. There was an understanding that we had the technology. Okay, going around the table very quickly, Councillor Hanlon, Councillor Martinson, Councillor Temple, Deputy Mayor, all those in favor, carried.
Make a motion?
Huh?
Can we make a motion?
There is one right there. You've just made it.
Okay.
You asked the question. Oh, no, sorry, it was Councillor Martinson who asked the question. Sorry. Councillor Martinson has to make the motion.
Okay.
Option 1, that council approves the Alberta Transportation Utility Assessment and associated CCTV inspection program at a total estimate cost not to exceed $115,147, excluding GST, with funding to be provided from the unrestricted reserves.
Although, all those in favor of that? Carried. Moving on to page 27. Peace Officer Patrols, CAO.
Yes.
This was yours.
So this really, this report is for information only, and I wanted to put this in for the benefit of the general public too, so that both council, administration, and the general public understand the practicalities of extending these schedules. There is a certain amount of additional risk, but that's tolerable, I believe. And I've asked Edwin and Brady to be here because they quite willingly agreed to adjust their schedules. But this educates the public and council and administration on what these offices, it's easy to say, they should be patrolling between 1 and 7 a.m., 1 a.m. and 7 a.m. But they don't have the authority under the criminal code to address criminal activity. So, anyway, we can ask Brady to come up and Edwin, and if council would make their comments.
Well, let's be clear on what council asked at the last meeting, and that was increase the hours of patrol in the downtown core during business. We did not ask to increase any between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m.
Was a request to, where they would extend their patrolling from midnight to 1 a.m.
No,
and to start at 7.
no, this is for daytime downtown.
That's it? Did I-
Okay, so go ahead, tell us how you're going to do that.
We've already begun. We've changed around some priorities and we've started focusing on more patrolling downtown. I've been doing bike patrols. My partners have been doing vehicle patrols, foot patrols. I don't have anything further to add. It was, I believe, just a report for information.
Mhm.
No. Well, I'm not sure it is. You said that you changed some priorities and then have made some adjustments to the downtown patrol. Which priorities did you change?
Just less enforcement with bylaws and unsightly properties.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from councillors? Roundtable? Councillor Temple? Councillor Martinson? Councillor Hanlon?
Hi, I'd just like to know how it's going, if you've noticed any difference, or if people are acknowledging that you're there downtown, in the downtown area during the day?
Not really. I haven't noticed a whole lot. It's been kind of the same as it's been since I started. Been chatting with more people, but nobody's really said anything about, oh, hey, I've seen you out more, or good job or anything. So
No, Deputy Mayor, since you're the one that gave notice of motion on this some time ago.
No,
Go ahead.
I can appreciate what you guys are doing. I think where the extended hours came from during the roundtable when we were discussing the increased patrols, somebody, and I think it might have been you, brought up that at one point there was discussion about 24/7 coverage. And I think that's might have
Yeah.
been where this came
24/7
from.
coverage articulated with the
With the RCMP,
and everything.
yeah. There was no motion to extend the shift hours, but I think that's where that came from, as we were discussing 24/7 shift coverage, but no, and again, I understand we're gonna drop off services in one area in order to increase them in another area, but for at least the summer months, I do believe that this will be beneficial, and I appreciate you guys doing it, and like I always say, I think you're doing a good job, so it's I'm happy with it, and you know, extending your shift hours, it's like somewhere in here, I don't remember if it was the front or back, but you say, you know, you don't have the ability to respond to break and enters and things like that, but you're out there and you're visible, and you know, the thugs see you, and if you do witness a break and enter, you're there to call the RCMP, right? But so it does, even if you can't intervene, it does benefit the community to have you present and active, and everything else is my 2 cents. But like I say, no, I think you guys are doing a good job, and I think for at least the summer months, while we have the lake traffic coming through town, I think a little bit extra time spent on the downtown core is beneficial, and I appreciate you guys humoring me, I guess. But okay, thanks.
Councillor Martinson?
Can you give us an update on Mackenzie? Is she peace officer, or still doing bylaw, or government still dragging their feet?
she's still bylaw. Government's still, we're still waiting on the government. So I will advise council and be sure to update as soon as that changes. But until then, I don't have an update.
Questions? sorry, it just occurred to me. Before you guys arrived, Falaire, McLennan, and Drewville, not Donnelly, not Donnelly. They came and they're requesting that we extend their service agreement. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on that? As I know it's a long way to drive.
I wasn't quite prepared for a question like that tonight, so I'll have to speak with my coworkers and then bring that back to council. But as of right now, I don't have an answer. I'm kind of conflicted.
Fair enough. Thank you.
You should run for politics. That's a very political answer. Well done.
Funny thing, I've never been involved in politics prior to this job, so it's a learning experience for me.
And we're not asking you to be. Thank you. So right now, the recommended action is that this report be accepted for information. Councillor Martinson? Okay. All those in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Moving on to another one of yours, Deputy Mayor, consideration for large trucks and RVs.
Okay.
CEO?
I discussed this with my manager of roads, and he did some research, and it really is at the discretion. There are some concerns with the weight and how it would affect the roads, but the council could change our bylaw, and there are spots where we could put in large, parking spaces, but not necessarily in, where in some sections of that road. So the section in blue in the report lays out exactly where they could park and unload, and it discusses the weights. So it really is something for council to consider, and I included the bylaw in question that would need to be changed, and we'll go from there. So it's wait for council's direction.
So it sounds like are we kicking a can here down the road or what's happening? Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Can I make a motion? I'll move that council instructs administration to draft an amendment to section 6 of the traffic control bylaw to allow for vehicles up to 40,000 kilograms and 70 feet to travel and park along 51st Avenue with designated parking stalls to be signed and painted east of TD and west of the train mural to accommodate long parallel parking. The Public Works said we're good up to 53,000 kgs, so I feel comfortable at 40,000, but that number's absolutely open for, I'm not going to be picky about it. I just threw $40,000 for 40,000 kilograms because I think that's a good number. We're not not maxing it out at 53,000 kilograms. And then the 70 feet to accommodate trucks with trailers. And my takeaway from this is that the road can accommodate it. It's just going to be tight. And I think maybe we pilot it this summer. And if there's issues, we can drop the max weight, max length next summer. But the 43,000 kg or the 40,000 kgs would prevent fully loaded semi trucks from traveling down that road, parking down that road. So it eliminates the big truck traffic, while 70 feet still allows for RVs, campers, fifth wheels, all that lake traffic. It allows those businesses downtown to benefit from the campers that are traveling through town, right? And that was my goal with this. I don't want big semi trucks traveling through there, but I do want to allow RVs and fifth wheels, and I think the 40,000 kgs and 70 feet might hit the nail. But like I say, I can always change it, but that's where I'm at.
All they did is, the ad is to put up signage to show that it is a truck parking area. And another spot was 51st Avenue in the area east of the funeral home along that access road.
That's what I got. It's, to park along 51st Avenue with designating parking stalls to be signed and painted east of TD. So that would include the funeral home. And I'm not saying the east of TD all the way down to, you know, the old Richards lumber lot. I'm assuming that Public Works will have a fair split between oversized parking and regular parallel parking between TD and Richards. But east of TD and west of the train mural, there'll be some parking stalls. And I think east of TD includes the funeral home.
You know, one question that I had written down when I was reviewing this, before Councillor Shunter made his motion, regarding the semi trucks, do we have an emergency truck route? If Highway 2 was closed, do we have an emergency truck route? And then I was thinking about next summer when they're redoing Highway 2, how are big trucks going to get through town? Because that might help us decide what to do with them in this motion.
Not that I'm aware of. And with the project next year, I'm sure the province will be informing us of the detours and guide us, you know, where these trucks will have to go while they're constructing sections of the road.
Typically, the contractor, whoever transportation hires, will give a plan of traffic movement, and it'll have to be approved by our engineers prior, so.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you is the RFD for the Reserve Fund bylaw. At the last meeting, we heard that the Historical Society, Museum and Historical Society had intended to deposit funds with the town following their dissolution. Council directed us to prepare a bylaw, and this RFD is in response to that bylaw, and it mirrors the bylaw for the development of the fund for the rec center from last meeting. So, okay.
So in reviewing this bylaw, there are a couple things I'd like to point out before we, if we approve to sign it, and they're pretty much spelling errors or grammatical errors. In D on page 67 of our pages, it says renovation or O-R-E. I think we need to drop that E. And then in E, after interpretation, A, we need to get rid of that A. And on page 68, 8.2, it says any change to the purpose of the future multiplex development reserve fund. That should read the High Prairie Museum, High Prairie and District Museum Reserve Fund.
Yeah, sorry about that.
the tricks of cut and paste. Further questions or comments, Councillor Hanlon? Thank you very much for proofreading this for us. Councillor Temple?
That's also on page 66. 3.1 says the purpose of the future multiplex development reserve fund should read, right? The Hyperion District Museum Reserve Fund.
We are clear we're voting on the museum, and not the multiplex.
We're reading all about the multiplex tonight.
Councillor Martinson, anything? Deputy Mayor?
I don't know. I'm in favor of putting museum funds towards a multiplex.
That's a separate motion.
Oh.
That should stimulate the YouTube audience.
Can I post that
And
on
we have it
Facebook?
on video. Any other questions?
Yeah.
This should be a caution to those who prepare the meeting packages. Actually, some councillors actually read them, and they actually read them very closely. Any further questions or comments on the Museum Reserve Fund? Going on then to page 65. The first, that the council give first reading to the High Prairie and District Museum Reserve Fund bylaw number 04-2026. Anyone willing to give? Councillor Martinson. All those in favor of first reading? Carried. That council give second reading to the High Prairie and District Museum Reserve Fund bylaw number 04-2026. Second reading moved by Councillor Hanlon. All those in favor? Carried. The enabling motion that council give unanimous consent to proceed to third reading of the High Prairie and District Museum Reserve Fund bylaw number 04-2026. Motion. Deputy Mayor, all those in favor? Opposed? Defeated? Yeah, it has to be unanimous.
Yeah.
I've said before, no rush, no pushing through of three readings unless there's a genuine emergency. At the last meeting, I said I would vote against it every time unless it's designed to always caution councils to give sober second thought. Yeah. Moving on. Oh, more museum stuff. Curator, museum governance policies. Go ahead.
The RFD before you is the beginning of a series of museum policies that'll be coming before council. These mirror very closely the types of policies that nonprofit museums have. In this instance, council, it's similar to the board of directors of a museum. The executive director in this case would be the CAO, and the curator is the curator, and so on after that. The policies follow very closely the standards outlined in the Alberta Museums Association standards and guidelines for standards for museums in the province. And the policies that we've been put forward to you mirror very closely the policy for the city of Waterloo and the city of and the town of Peace River in terms of their construction. So.
Well, my fingers aren't cooperating. So the first policy that we're addressing is the policy that starts on page 72 and runs through to, I think, 83. And the second policy that we'll be addressing then is vision, mission, and mandate policy.
Right.
We'll first deal with governance policy.
So the governance policy basically outlines the roles and responsibilities of council, the CAO, the curator, staff and volunteers, and other administrative staff within the municipality. The purpose of this is to clarify the ownership and governance of the museum, the role of town council as the governing authority, the administrative oversight role of the chief administrative officer, the day-to-day management role of the museum curator, the responsibilities of staff and volunteers, and the relationship between municipal government, museum standards, public accountability, and the role of public input and working groups in supporting museum operations and development.
I don't have any comments about the policy, but I would like to say I appreciate your schedule that you presented on how you're going to proceed with bringing your policies to us. I appreciate the heads up and that it's not all in one tonight.
All 200 pages, no.
No, I just wanted to say it's very detailed and I appreciate that. I like it.
No. Okay. Okay, the purpose of this policy is to state the vision, mission, and mandates which act as the overarching principles that guide the staff and volunteers of the Hyperion District Museum in the tasks that make up the day-to-day operations of the museum. As with most museums, there is always a vision, a mission, and mandate statement, and those statements are often provided in terms of the grant applications and recognized museum applications and so on. They're vital to the work that we do and certainly provide us the beginnings of the sandbox that allow us to operate on a day-to-day basis. That's right.
Basically, that's up.
That's right. Just
Okay, I did call the county and ask them, had they been approached by Sucker Creek for this event? And then they said they have not, and even in the past, they haven't contributed to Sucker Creek, and we haven't either. Nonetheless, as you can see from the budget that was provided, their ask is 5,000, but I didn't put it into the motion, into the option that council could consider. I'll leave it for, and the other part to this is there is a balance in your council grants of $29,350. So there is money available. It's just a matter of council wants to start contributing. And we did meet with them. Mhm.
I do have a question for the application. Do we have the other pages or just this front page they filled out?
Councillor Martinson, any questions or comments on this one?
I just see that on page 106 of our package that it was $10,000. That's what was taken off. If you look at that on page 106.
106.
Status of council.
Yeah. I don't remember that number. I actually remember the number that we're kicking around was $1,000. I don't remember 10. Getting old, I could miss a zero, but I don't think I did.
Yeah. I'll have to look back on May 26th to see what was done there.
Anyway, further questions or comments? Councillor Temple. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, everybody knows my stance on charity with taxpayer dollars. It has to benefit the community as a whole. I think this does. It's no different from what the Elks do. And, you know, we've talked a lot about how we wanted to develop a relationship with our neighbors, and we had a great conversation with Sucker Creek a couple weeks ago, and it would probably be in the town's best interest to support it. What I'm struggling with is they have a total budget of $255,000. Of that, $100,000 is prize money payouts. And I don't know if that's normal for an Indian relay race or not. I feel like that number's quite high. And then in order to the letter they had for promotional signage opportunity, the lowest contribution level listed on the letter was $5,000. And I'd be in favor of giving them, you know, $1,000 or whatever, but whatever we do contribute, if it's less than $5,000, we still need to get a sign up, right?
Any further questions or comments?
Thank you.
I had a question on your conversation posed to me, but now I forget it. No, I agree. This does, oh, I know what I was going to ask. What do we give to the Elks? The rodeo?
Less than 5,000.
Oh,
Was it 2,500? That rings a bell. I know it was less than 5,000.
This year, we approved the Elks $1,000.
okay. Actually, the balance in the budget doesn't surprise me that the 100 is the payout to the competitors. In fact, I would be always looking for a larger payout to competitors than to local administration. Councillor Martinson?
We do give more to the Elks because I know the Public Works crew for years have set out, you know, barricades and that for their parade, and typically downtown they used to stream banners, but I don't think they do that anymore. But it's not just the monetary amount.
Okay, so we give 1,000 to the rodeo. Is that the number I hear correctly?
Yeah, that's on page 106 of our,
Okay, so are we plugging
Grant.
in the number 1,000 into the recommended wording? Someone willing to make that motion at the 1,000 mark? Deputy Mayor, read the motion.
I'll make the motion that council approves sponsoring the Sucker Creek Indian Relay races in the amount of $1,000 under the condition that we qualify for a promotional signage opportunity.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moving on to item 8.1, Indigenous recognition on page 94. Councillor Hanlon.
okay, I brought this forward. When we met with the 3 First Nations recently, some of the comments that were made were making our Indigenous neighbors feel more welcome when they come to town. And two ideas that were presented by the First Nations were signage and flags. So I would like, I know through an email, we were discussing various signages that we could put out on the highway. My original motion was going to be that we direct administration to prepare a request for quotes for 2 signs, and one for the east end of town, one for the west end of town, and 2 additional flag poles so we can fly the Métis flag and the Treaty 8 flag out front with our other flags. But I do want to make a motion that we instruct administration to prepare and issue a request for quotes and return to council with results detailing the costs associated with installing 3 welcome signs, one on the east end of town, one on the west end of town, and one on the north end of town, along with 2 additional flag poles in front of the town office. And I did come across some funding resources, so we may be able to apply for a grant. There's a federal multiculturalism and anti-racism project fund. There's an Ellis Don Fund and McConnell Foundation. I can forward this information to administration, and perhaps once we get the costs, we can apply for a grant for this. So it wouldn't cost us anything.
Okay, I have a couple comments. One of the things that mystifies me is that we've been flying the Métis flag for a very, very long time, and we actually have a Treaty 8 flag. And I don't know why we're not just alternating them monthly, for that matter. And I need to be clear on something. Councillor Hanlon, we already have the 3 flag poles, which are jurisdictional along the sidewalk. And then back in, we have the special presentation flag pole. Are you suggesting we have 2 more beside the one that's flying the Métis flag right now?
Personally, I would like to see 2 additional flags where the other 3 are.
Tell me, are you suggesting we have the special presentation pole? Are you suggesting we move that one?
I think that one should stay where it is because I know a lot of times we use that one for different events. I would just like to see 2 brand new flag poles, one for the Métis flag, one for the Treaty 8, and put them out front near the sidewalk where the other 3 main flags are.
So the special presentation flagpole would be empty most of the time then? Because I think the only time we use it in Aboriginal veterans, and any other time? I think that's the only time we use it besides flying the Métis flag. So that's why I'm asking, how many poles are we going to have out there? And are we going to then have one that's empty most of the time? That's my only concern with your. The other one is, if you look at the logo, which is at the top of the page, of every page, and it says High Prairie, heart of the Big Lakes. And if you look at the space immediately under High, there's adequate space for us not to put up new signs, but to simply paint in Tansi. And that's all, the only wording that our First Nation neighbors have ever asked us for. Nothing else, just Tansi. And we could put that on the sign. So what I'm saying is, let's not start replacing those signs. They're very, very expensive. Let's find a very inexpensive way to recognize our neighbors with the simple addition of the word Tansi. Now, we don't have northern and southern signs at all. If we're going to do that, then they'll duplicate the eastern and western signs. And those are more significant expenditures. So I guess we'll have to find out what they are before we decide to do a north-south signage. We've never had, in my memory, we've never had north-south signage. We've only had highway south. Councillor Hanlon?
My idea for the third sign north of town was because we do have a lot of people coming in
Yeah.
from the north, from Indigenous communities.
Yeah. No, and in fact, if we're gonna do that, then, you know, it should be at all our entrances. All I'm saying is that traditionally we haven't had a north-south, so we better get, and it's going to be, I assume it'll be signage equal to the east-west signage, the same kind of signage, and those are significant expenditures, so we'll have to get some cost estimates on that. And I want to get this flagpole thing straightened out. Are we looking at 5 flagpoles along there? So you have High Prairie, Alberta, Canada, Métis, Treaty 8, and then closer in, we have the presentation flag, which to the best of my knowledge is only used once a year, and that's for Aboriginal Veterans Day. That's what we're looking at, okay? Be clear in your minds what's the configuration of things. Okay? You want to put some more precise wording, Councillor Hanlon, after you've told us what you want for flagpoles and signage?
Well, I was also going to say, I think we can get administration to bring us back various quotes. One on your concept of adding Tansei to our current sign. And another one with, now I had designed this it's a separate sign to add behind our town signs coming east and west. Do you have a motion?
Looking at separate signs. I'm not sure you're communicating the same level of message, but that's fine. Okay, so basically we're asking administration to put a plan together, give us some cost estimates for our approval in line with the conversation that we've just had, and some different options, separate signs, edited signs, north, south, east, west, all of that. Is that clear? So can we be a little more general and say that we instruct administration to come back with a plan and estimate on Indigenous recognition through our signage and flags? Councillor Martinson?
We do have sign poles at our campsite on the east end of town, which we fly our town flag, and I think the county flag is flown out there. I think there might be three poles there right now.
That's right.
And I think maybe the US flag is there.
The US flag is there.
Yeah, so that's another option that we could put them out there.
And by the way, as a result of going to visit Chief Okamau and her council at Sucker Creek, they gave us a Sucker Creek flag. And I was hoping that we could fly it on our special presentation pole during the relay races. Okay, and I don't think we need, I don't know why we would need a town council resolution for that. I really doubt if we've ever had a town council resolution on flying the Métis flag perpetually. If we have, I don't know about it. Anyway, we've got a motion. Any further questions or discussion on it? All those in favor of instructing administration to do so? Opposed? Carried. Moving on, strengthening relationships with local businesses on page 96. Councillor Hanlon and Councillor Shunter. Councillor Hanlon, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Your name's on it. He talks too much anyway. Well, You wanted the museum money in the multiplex. You have to pay a penalty for comments like that. Go ahead, Counselor Allen.
Okay, thank you. So we've seen a number of businesses close in the last couple of years, and it's important to ensure that our remaining businesses stay operational. I had a discussion with Ron Shunter of Pop's Home Hardware about our local businesses and the importance of council meeting the owners to understand their needs. Ron pointed out that we need to capture local spending and to work with local businesses before pursuing external recruitments. And also in the Deloitte Regional Economic Development Plan, they also mention the importance of secure long-term resilience through reinvestment in local employers with the objective of implementing a coordinated regional business retention and expansion program. Deloitte's action was to visit businesses annually, identify expansion, reinvestment, or risk issues. And the report also recommended we develop online profiles for local businesses and community organizations. So Councillor Shunter and I had been discussing this, and we would like to, our proposal is that administration prepare a list of businesses in town with business owner contact information from the list of business licenses, and that each business will be assigned to a counselor, and counselors will be responsible for meeting one-on-one with each business owner assigned to them. The goal being for a member of council to make contact with each and every business in High Prairie by the end of summer in order to get feedback, to drive our strategic plan priority workshop and budget discussions in the fall. One other way that could be done is to have administration schedule a public hearing to gather feedback from business owners, all based on the same lines. But I believe it wouldn't be to our benefit and to meet with business owners one-on-one to get their input and show them that we do want to work with them and assist them in any way we can to make sure that their businesses stay open. So there's a couple options there on how we could proceed with this. And I think we need to have a discussion on whether everybody is on board with this. Councillor Shunter, you have anything to add to what I said?
You're speechless. Yeah. Make a note of that. Well done, Councillor Allen. Okay, I have a couple comments on it. One is you want councillors to, well, one of the things you think is an option to meet with businesses on a one-to-one basis by the end of the summer. I can tell you right now, I'm not giving up my summertime. And that's because I think you may be underestimating the number of businesses. To meaningfully interact with businesses, and I have met with a number of them, that's an hour for sure. And there are more businesses than you see on the street, so to speak. And I'm sure you mean to include home businesses and everything else. I don't know how long our business registry is, but you know, multiply that by an hour, and you're going to have us taking a fair amount of our summertime away from us. That's not to undermine the ultimate intent of this, but I can tell you, I still am of the opinion that we need a Chamber of Commerce. This is necessary, in fact, I think, to meet with local businesses because we don't have a Chamber of Commerce. This is the substitute for the Chamber of Commerce. And I don't know, should we make one last big charge at the Chamber of Commerce issue? See, I think maybe the time has come, if we can get the county on side, for the county and the town to jointly host a meeting of all businesses, because all these businesses, regardless of where their buildings are, they all operate here. You know, we've got Home Hardware, the owner doesn't even live in town. So we're talking to somebody who isn't paying taxes, but is running a business. And you got all of that kind of stuff going on. See, is it realistic for us to get together with the county and say, let's host an evening, perhaps in the Buchanan Center or wherever, and send out invitations, not just put on the website, but actually send out invitations signed by the mayor of the Reeve to every business on their business registry and then every business on our business registry. And I'm going to make the pitch if that happens. We need a Chamber of Commerce. This is an excellent reason why we need one. And we're still approaching government and asking government to help us on things. And at no point are we ever able to say with any conviction that our business community supports us, because we don't have a Chamber of Commerce that would endorse us. And I don't know how often it's, really important. I don't know if it's ever critical that we have chamber endorsement. But I know from a political point of view, it helps. So I'm not arguing against the intent of this. In fact, very much I'm in favor of the intent. I just have some optional thoughts about it. I don't know. Let's do the round table. Usually I don't start it. Councillor Martinson?
Yeah, I'm in favor of your idea of holding one public meeting and sending letters to all the business signed on behalf of you or the Reeve.
Yeah.
Later in the fall.
Councillor Temple? Councillor Hanlon?
No, I like that idea as well. Maybe we can start with that and see how it goes. And if we do send personal invites out, hopefully we get a lot of business owners come out to this meeting.
Okay, Deputy Mayor?
No, I'm good.
Well, then we need somebody to phrase a motion. Deputy Mayor?
Option 2, that council direct administration to schedule a public hearing with local businesses to gather feedback and coordinate with the county to include county businesses as well.
Okay. So it's option number 2 with the addition
of the county.
that it be in cooperation with the county. Okay? All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to a new business item. This is 8.3, Councillor Hanlon on off-reserve housing.
Okay, so recently I came across a new funding, well, it's not a new funding initiative, but possibly it could be a new funding initiative for us. Off-reserve Indigenous Housing Initiative, and that would allow us to build, it's for new construction of housing, purchase an existing building, or repurpose an existing building. Now, for us to qualify for this funding, we need to have a formal partnership with Indigenous governments. So I would like to, I was just bringing this to our attention to see if there's any willingness to move ahead on this. And we could get administration to set up a meeting with Driftpile Cree Nation, Capuino First Nation, Sucker Creek First Nation, Peavine Métis Settlement, and East Prairie Métis Settlement to see if they would be willing to partner with us in this, even if 1 or 2 of them do. And then that way we could get some new housing in town, and it would be rental or rent to own. And I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Take your time, get it back.
But yeah, so applications are accepted year round. So it's not, there's no specific deadline when it has to be. So I know we're not going to get any develop a partnership and have housing for this year, but perhaps we could start that partnership and have some housing coming for next year.
Okay. On the concept of the town promoting Indigenous off-reserve housing, let's do the roundtable. Counselor Temple. Counselor Martinson.
First, you have to have the land ready. And that's a big cost to have the infrastructure put in, so that would be my fear if where the funds are coming from, whether it's all ours as a council or if they're willing to share some of them expenses also, so it's definitely something to talk to at the table with them, so.
Okay, good cautionary note. Counselor, my only comment is we have to recognize the fact at the last Alberta North Central Alliance meeting that the CEO and I attended, we had the housing report, and I had meant to distribute that housing report, but then I didn't pick up enough copies. But one of the interesting things that the director of ANSI found, 34% of High Prairie residents self-identify as Indigenous. Now, my experience has been that self-identification is always quite a bit lower, in fact, than the true figure. I found that to be true, say, with students at the college, asking them to self-identify. I always found about 10% of the students didn't want to self-identify as Indigenous or Aboriginal, depending on how that's worded. I'm guessing that the town's population has at least 40% Indigenous. That means almost half. And given that number, I see no reason why we wouldn't at least explore this option. Housing is a big issue. I certainly share Councillor Martinson's concern. Boy, that would put the brakes on something really quick if we had to put in the pavement and the underground. But let's take a look at it. Deputy Mayor, any comments?
Does anybody recall when we met with Sucker Creek? I don't remember what the number was. Perhaps somebody can remind me, but there was the comment made by one of their members that a lot of their residents utilize Heart River Housing Services, and maybe Councillor,
That's true.
I think Councillor Minderline, it's unfortunate he's not here because he sits on the Heart River board. He'd probably be able to shed some light. But if if Sucker Creek members are moving into town to utilize Heart River Housing Services, I see no reason not to support Sucker Creek in building some homes in town so that Sucker Creek can house their members in town, right? But
I remember very much the same kind of general conversation. I believe that they said that something of half of their membership are not on reserve. And by the way, that's common. Most of the First Nations around here will have less than half of their membership on reserve.
Yeah.
And that also a large part of that off-reserve membership was in town.
Mhm.
And in fact, I remember that same counselor saying, and some of those are your homeless.
Now,
So
would
I
this,
think we should look at it.
yeah, would this Indigenous housing be within an urban reserve if it's solely for Indigenous people?
No, this one is specifically off reserve.
This is off reserve.
But I know,
Main
I
thing is
know
an
they,
urban reserve.
yeah, so an urban reserve would still be considered reserve.
Okay.
I think our natural partner, if this were to go any further than our investigation, our natural partner remains Heart River Housing.
Yeah.
Because they have the instrument to handle to rent and rent to own and all of that stuff. Okay, do we need, let's have a motion on this then, Counselor Hanlon?
Okay, I'll make a motion that council directs administration to set up a meeting with Driftpile, Capuino, Sucker Creek, Peavine, and East Prairie to discuss partnership in the off-reserve Indigenous Housing Initiative.
Okay, do we have enough to meet with them on, or do we first have to find out what this program is and what our options and requirements are under the program? Deputy Mayor?
I think when we go to meet with them, we should have a couple pieces of land in mind as well.
Yeah, let's do some homework, some preparatory work before that meeting, Counselor Hanlon. We need to know a little more. You mentioned a number of revenue sources. We need to know to what degree we're qualified, and the funder themselves may have some ideas about location and zoning and things like that. So could we hear a rewording of your motion?
So can we direct council directs administration to provide a list of vacant lots, vacant service lots?
No, just our options for off-reserve housing. That's what we're really looking at, right? Yeah. That's all we need to do to start the homework.
Okay, that council directs administration to prepare a report to come back to council with a report for options for in proceeding with off-reserve Indigenous Housing Initiative.
Yeah. Considering that this is summertime and we only have one more council meeting, we can't expect this meeting until fall sometime. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay. Oh, the CAO's report again. We're now on to page 98.
Well, I have enjoyed the extra week between council meetings, and I look forward to an even longer break to the next council meeting. It's allowing me to kind of prepare for the strategic planning session in September, and to just gather information of how we are performing on various fronts against similar sized or neighboring municipalities. During the month, the most interesting meeting was probably, and the mayor can expand on this, is the health advocacy meeting that both the mayor and I attended, and Bryce attended. It sounded very hopeful. And we did talk to the interim chief of operating rooms and head of surgical care and the OR lead for District 6. And 2 to 3 million capital is committed for the operating room, and they're working on the operational funding. So approximately 6 months now, probably not earlier than 6 months, but probably 7 or 8 months potentially. They do intend to open an operating room for endoscopy and cataracts. So that was very interesting, and this is the height of vacation period right now, and so things are slowing down, and we aren't getting too many residents even coming to town hall. But that's my report. And I should say I went back and updated the action list, and you can see I've left in things that I've crossed just so that you see that they are completed, and next time they will, the items in green will be taken off. And I provided the additional information to each of these motions that council has directed administration to proceed with. So hopefully you'll be satisfied with what you see, and if not, you can comment now. And that's it.
Okay, just on that meeting, it was my memory, they're actually saying by the end of year, the operating room would have endoscopy and cataracts.
I recall the same.
Yeah, and that their budget is 2 to 3 million for capital and operating. They just haven't narrowed it down. I'm going to use this as a segue point to something that has annoyed me, and I know annoys a couple other people. I have now figured out that we have 5 health committees serving the community. We have the Health Professionals Attraction and Retention Committee, on which Councillors Martinson and I sit on. We have the Hospital Auxiliary, on which Councillor Shunter sits on. We have the High Prairie Health Foundation, which Councillor Minderline sits on. We have the High Prairie Health Advocacy, on which I also sit on, as does the CAO. And the only other body that has some relationship to High Prairie, although it's much more regional, it's High Prairie, Slave Lake, Wabasca, is the Regional Health Advisory Committee the province has put on. And the only, as far as I know, High Prairie member of that is Dr. Lachlan. If we set aside that regional one that Dr. Lachlan sits on, we're sitting on 4 different committees. And we're all seem to be doing, you know, sort of trying to eat the same pie. And I have to, you know, I know that this is video now. I told that the administrator of the hospital how frustrated I was with the health and the professionals attraction. I said, we've had 3 or 4 meetings now, and all we talked about and agreed on was a damn barbecue. And she said, yeah, but you missed a meeting. And then she gave me a whole bunch of stuff they accomplished at the meeting that I missed. Now, you were at that meeting, I think, and you were at that meeting. And maybe I missed something that we're now doing fantastic work besides the barbecue. But this is getting ridiculous. I don't even, and I'm not taking great credit for this, but I don't charge meeting fees for that damn thing because I'm scared somebody will ask me what we've done. And I'd have to answer nothing. And then if somebody said, what have you ever done? I'd have to answer nothing. We've got to pare this down. We've got David sits on 2 of those committees. I sit on 2 of them. You sit on 1, you sit on 1, and Herman sits on 1. And if we all charge meeting attendance fees, boy, the town is paying out a lot for a barbecue. That's all. There's my rant, okay? But I think you agree with me, don't you? And David agrees with me, and I'm sure you agree. Yeah. This is silly. Yeah. And it's a waste of public resources and our time. We've got to pare this down. I don't know how we do that, but I've already started the process with the administrator of the hospital, telling her that we were seriously thinking of pulling out of that attraction and retention thing, since we didn't feel we needed a meeting every month for a damn barbecue. Councillor Martinson, any views? I don't have a problem with that committee. I just, you know, and if we only meet once or twice a year or 3 times a year, fine. But we've met every month now on a damn barbecue. Councillor Temple, are you suffering pain?
No. The other thing, sorry to change the subject a bit, but I'm a little confused. I think the last council meeting, there was some conversation about having a public meeting for crime. Are we doing that? I'm like, Jason Barber is going to be here August 11th. And we've certainly, this council has done a lot on the security and crime reduction side of things. Do we need this public meeting?
That was going to be my second comment. Yeah. Particularly the timing of the suggested timing of the meeting. But are there any final comments? Do you have a comment on, you're from the Hospital Auxiliary. You guys got money.
We do, and we got an OR. I've met with them 5 or 6 times. I think I've billed for maybe 1 meeting, if any. Again, I don't feel right doing it because I know in the back of my head that everybody else around the table is also working towards the same things, and it feels like we're doubling up. So I haven't been billing for it, but yeah, I think the health professional attraction and retention committee, I think, you know, they were formed to fill vacancies, and currently there are no vacancies or very few vacancies there. We used to have a problem attracting doctors, and we've attracted doctors. We have doctors in town. So I don't understand why that committee needs to meet every month at this point in time. I don't, again, I wish Councillor Minderland was here, but my understanding is the High Prairie Health Foundation hasn't filed paperwork for a number of years, and they've lost their official standing. So perhaps they need to be amalgamated or dissolved, or I don't know what the route is there.
The last time that Councillor Minderline reported on this, or even in conversation,
Yeah.
was that they were looking for a place to safely hold the money.
Yeah.
Anybody else remember it that way?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were looking for somebody to, so essentially their plan is to dissolve.
Anyway, I think we need to, each of us sit on those committees, and I think we need to really have those committees examine what it is they're accomplishing, and do they have to have a bloody meeting every month? Let's move on to the crime prevention. I believe that the original suggested date was something like September 2nd, September 3rd, which is very, very early in fall for my scheduling. My chief concern about having a public meeting is, what are we going to do after the meeting? If we have no resources, and if we're not prepared to do the kinds of significant things we've already done, which we're still waiting to prove themselves, what are we going to do? This council has overseen the installation of cameras, right? Even though that was an initiative of the previous council. And we've hired the 3rd peace enforcement officer. We haven't even gone a full year in doing those 2 things. So I ask, when we have a meeting, and I can predict the outcome, and that is we need more action from council on crime. That's a very natural outcome you'd hear anywhere. What is it we're going to do? Are we going to already move to, as I've almost heard this evening, a 4th? Are we installing more cameras? Like, we haven't even had a chance to assess the impact of what we did in October and November. And we're already saying, let's do more. I'm not opposed to doing more. I'm not opposed to this meeting, but you know, I got a feeling we're jumping into the deep end of the pool without realizing how deep it is. I don't know if that's an appropriate analogy.
I don't know if we're going into the meeting saying we're going to do more. I brought that forward because somewhere in the town's mandate is to hold a crime prevention or crime meeting once a year. And the last one was held last June. So we're due for one, in a sense.
Is that in the MGA?
No, not in the MGA. I'll have to find it somewhere, but It's, maybe, it might have been the last crime meeting. We said
I
we'd
think
post a
the
second,
last
we,
Council
yeah,
promised
I,
annual meetings,
I think that, yeah, that rings a bell.
but then the last council barely promised any action anyway.
That's true too, yeah.
We've actually acted.
Yeah.
And what is the impact of that? And by the way, just to clarify something, because the Little Smoky people came to us and the work that they're doing doesn't take away from us. Their payment for that secondment of our officers, both to the county and to those communities in Little Smoky, are what enables us to hire the third person. Okay? So I guess almost the implication is that before we jump to a fourth person, maybe we should have more customers.
Well, I think one of our things is that we're still waiting to see what's happening with the RCMP. These vacancies. That's a big thing for our crime, right? If they fill some of these vacancies, then it's easier for us for the crime. Right?
See, you just opened up.
Yeah, because I'm curious what the detachment in McLennan is their staffing levels at. In Fost, are all these detachments under vacancies? Like, is there not enough members in any of these detachments?
Probably vacancies in every detachment. What concerns me is that year after year, we're seeing these 4 hard vacancies. And then there's always the 1 or 2 soft vacancies. So it makes it hard to patrol. And we're paying for it and we aren't getting credit for the hard vacancies. They can say what they want, but I see escalating costs historically, and I'm seeing no credits. And here it is mid-July. We should have had our invoice by now.
What's
Maybe
the total budget amount we set aside for the RCMP? It went up by 34 or 37,000. I know that. So it's already a big number.
It's a big number. I can't give you the exact number right now.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah. Yeah, it is 133, 134. That's what it is. So it's not a huge number. I mean,
If you talk to the RCMP members in town, there's not vacancies at every detachment. There's detachments and communities that they want to work at, and there's detachments and communities that they don't want to work at, and High Prairie's not a favorable community. Combined with our very wide variety of crime that takes place in our region, the RCMP kind of views us as a bit of a training ground. The new recruits that are fresh out of depot and they get last choice on where they want to go, they get posted here. And it's a great experience for them because they get to see such a wide variety of crime. And after they've earned a little bit of seniority, then they get first pick for their next posting and they go down to Calgary or Rocky Mountain House or Cochrane or, Leduc, someplace warm, Olds, Red Deer, right? Somewhere favorable that that people want to be, right?
Yeah.
But they don't want to be in High Prairie, so we get left with I don't want to, you know, yeah.
Let me ask another budget question. 134,000 for the RCP contract? How much money for the peace enforcement officers in total?
Operating costs, materials, supplies, all of that. I don't have the figure in my head right now. But
Just off the top.
It's $67 an hour, right?
yeah, 68, yeah.
68 times
Just-
40 times 52 is $141,000.
That's right, times 3 officers.
Three officers.
So $500,000.
Minus what the county and
Yeah,
our neighbors.
they give
pay
us, yeah. Yeah.
which is,
So off the top of my head, we're spending already. See, when we're talking about the options of having our own police force or contracting the sheriffs, we would then be talking about them doing what our peace enforcement officers are doing. We've already got a chunk of money of $500,000 to $600,000.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's where we're going. And we need to think that way with this proposed community meeting. Are we prepared to go down that path? Or are we going to keep adding peace enforcement officers? And we haven't even tested impact so far. But
22 members RCM at the RCMP station.
Yeah.
They patrol the area. We wouldn't need 22
no.
contracted members if they
No,
were
we're not
specific
paying
to
for
High
it.
Prairie. So,
We
yeah,
have designated numbers for the
Yeah.
settlements and the reserves that are subtracted from that.
yeah. But how, if we were to contract out to the sheriff, how many people do we need to serve High Prairie? 5 or 6? 6 or 7? 6 or 7? Yeah.
My instincts tell me that we jumped to about $750,000. But remember, there's no way you do that without county. There's just no way. Crime doesn't stop at a line. That was always the problem when we had our own police force.
Yeah.
That they couldn't leave town and you could literally just hop in their truck and take off and pursuit ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side of city of Prairie and their city police force that they're getting all this money from the government for stops. Now it's up to the RCMP.
Anyway, getting back to, I think what David's point really is do we want to have a crime prevention public meeting? And if so, when? Is that that's what you're asking us? I think it's premature. I'm not opposed to the idea, but I think it's premature and I don't know,
How far back do you push it? December or into next year?
into January, February. We only hired the third person after Christmas, wasn't it? Yeah. We've only had her for, yeah. I think we need to have,
And she had.
yeah. And how long have the cameras been installed? They're still to be installed? No, I mean, we haven't even completed what we committed to at the last community meeting.
Yeah.
Let's not have another one.
Yeah.
Let's wait on this one, okay, folks? We can discuss it in the fall and get some fences put around, okay? Moving on then to council information. This is the correspondence. Gotta get my pages straightened out here. I think we're moving on to page 107. And the Nehiyawak Summer Gathering. Other than telling us there is a summer gathering, I think that's all they're doing, isn't it?
This is the same weekend as the rodeo, or it's the same dates as the rodeo here in town.
Yeah.
They were also looking for financial contributions or in-kind support.
Yeah, but if you look at their poster, this is the rodeo days. I feel sorry for them because, I mean, if there's anything that draws our indigenous neighbors to High Prairie, it's rodeo. So we just take this as information and letter of support. Why don't you speak to that one right away, Bryce?
I think I should take this back to Tammy because when she submitted this, we were still waiting on, we were still lobbying for an operating room. And since July 2nd, when this letter was written, we've received confirmation that we're getting one. So I think the letter is
We'll
no
just let
longer.
it sit for a while?
Yeah.
Okay, then moving on to, we're now on to our own stuff, our tenants and our reports. Entertain a motion to accept them for information. Counselor Temple made a motion. All those in favor? Carried. Thanks for waking them up. Where am I? Oh, got my pages screwed up again. Okay. The agenda being complete, I declare the meeting adjourned at 8:16.
That was last week. Wasn't it? All right. The last meeting, we approved that. Yeah.